it's like a never-ending saga. The Somali saga, it's never ending.
Why do you think they're not taking responsibility? What causes people to not take responsibility?
It's sign of weakness.
Exactly, you're absolutely right. I mean, like, in order to take responsibility, that means you really have to look at the part you played in. And that requires a lot of strength. That requires looking into yourself. It goes back to you. But then again, like, we're part of a culture that's very focused on the external.
It takes bravery, doesn't it?
Fight the demon in you. I think it's a lot of courage.
There has been times when I have done nothing and I apologize because I wanted them to see apologizing, even for the tiniest thing. And we take an apology as weakness. They rather die
than apologize.
We're going to move on to our next segment.
We don't want to come across like we're bashing our own people.
Our own people. I see that as part of taking responsibility of.
Yeah, of course.
We're
highlighting what needs to be worked on.
Absolutely. Because there's really no hiding what's out there for the world to see. Anyway. So there's a lot going on in the world. Obviously, we are living in a global village. 10 years ago, we used to say, oh, the world is about to become a global village. We are actually living in a global village. Humanity and the world has just shrunk that we are so intertwined. It's unbelievable. Well, I want to talk to you about Andrew Tate, the famous Andrew Tate becoming a Muslim. And now Muslims are already moving on to their next conquest, which is Kanye West, or the artist formerly known as Ye or Ye. Was it Ye?
Yeah.
Was it Ye or Ye?
Yeah, is what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, your thoughts about
Andrew Tate and the world.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so for starters, like, Andrew Tate converting to Islam has an agenda. There's a strategy behind that. As soon as I saw that news break out yesterday, I knew that there was a reason behind this. First of all, Andrew Tate, he's really smart and he knows a lot of things that the everyday person doesn't know. And I actually, surprisingly, I do agree with a lot of his views. Now, him being the messenger of that message, I don't really like how he delivers the message. But then again, I am one of those people that I really like raw information. I don't care how you deliver it, just give me the message, But I understand if you want to appeal to the masses nowadays, they need to be coddled. We're in a world where people easily get offended. You are easily canceled. There's just a lot of censorship happening. So with Andrew Tate, okay, he actually, in a lot of his podcast, he mentioned that he had Muslim friends growing up. He had Muslim neighbors growing up, and he always liked how they not necessarily treated their wives, but how the wives always stayed home and the man worked, and they live in like a large house of like a couple of families will share a house, and then they like put their money together and they do. And he glamorized like the man being man,
Mm-hmm.
And the woman like just playing her role as a woman, meaning like household. He like with what he witnessed with those friends, Arab friends that he has, is that women don't really know how to make the right decisions. They don't make decisions, blah blah, all that stuff that are very misogynistic that we see in worlds that haven't really given women a lot of their rights. So,
and how does that make you feel, though?
I said I agree with some of his message, because if you open your perspective, like something will make sense to you. For me, ironically, I am conservative in my values. I'm very traditional. I do like and appreciate family foundation, and I like structure in the family. And I like people to have roles, the couple, the husband and wife, to have each role. that role has to be a consensual role. Nobody's going to be assigned to a role based on their gender. Somebody's going to be assigned to a role because of their strength. Because we know each human being has strength in certain areas and has weakness in certain areas. So as a couple, your job is to get together and figure out what are each person's strengths and what are each person's weaknesses, and then work from there. So to me, I believe that type of structure. I believe in playing that type of role. If you are the wife or if you're the husband, play the role that most fits your skills, your abilities, right? So with Andrew Tate, I agree with him on that. I also like that he pushes guys to like, he calls soy boys. Soy boys, like, you know, they like very soft guys. Like me personally, I really like a manly man, meaning like, you know, he knows how to protect me, like in situations emotionally. Like I want someone who's completely different from me. Me personally, I don't want a man who thinks like me. I want a man who's very like knows how to use his masculine energy, because we have it both. A woman has both feminine and masculine energy, and same thing with men. But a man needs to have a more masculine energy, and women needs a more feminine energy. Just be, right? So what I agree with him is those 2 points, like having a structure in the family. However, that like consensual structure that works for you. And then also like men really manning up. And I think when a man mans up, he owns responsibilities. Indeed. I think men who take care of their family, protects their family, stands up for their daughter. Like, you know, you raise your daughter to not be taken advantage of by other men, because you set an example. Like your daughter is 17, 18, 19, and she wants, like, you know, that Chanel bag. And you're like, you want a Chanel bag? I'm going to get you a Chanel bag. Like, so she doesn't have to go out there and be with a man who's going to use her and abuse her because he's going to get her a Chanel bag. Okay. Absolutely. You want to be the type of dad that shows your daughter kindness. So tomorrow when she goes out there, she's out there in the real world, she meets a man and he's now complimenting her. She's like, oh my God, no one has ever complimented me like this. It's like new to her. So she thinks this man is in love with her when he's just trying to use her body, you know?
Looking for love in the wrong places.
Right, because she wasn't given by her dad. And I think a manly man knows.
Love and attention.
He knows, like he knows how to be what he needs to be. He knows how to be a good husband. He knows how to be this. He knows how to be what his family need him to be. That requires emotional intelligence. So a lot of men don't have that, and a lot of humans don't have that.
Absolutely, I agree with you. When I first come across Andrew Tate, that's the same exact way that I felt. I was like, wow, who is this man? I started actually sharing his videos with many of my non-Muslim friends and Muslim friends. And I was like, I actually prayed for him. And I was like, oh my God, he's not only a beautiful man to look at, just beautiful, but he's just so, just powerful. And a lot of young men can look up to him.
His presence.
Exactly. And I was like,
careful.
Because that's exactly why I was having issues with a lot of my Somali brothers, because I feel like the old days, Somali men used to protect their families.
Oh, yeah.
And there were many, many wars that actually started. The women were assaulted by someone from a certain tribe, and the entire tribe of the woman's entire tribe would go to war with that other tribe. So we come from that kind of a society that Somali women used to be treated with so much respect and dignity. Yes, we had our issues, obviously, culturally.
No culture is perfect, you know? We always had our flaws. I understand what you mean.
Of course. But then now it's actually the opposite. That's why fathers don't stand up for their daughters anymore. There are plenty of young men who are violating women and girls and children every day. And nobody's doing anything about it. Fathers would come to the police and say, I want some money because he violated my daughter. It's almost like selling, his daughter or their daughters to the
exactly.
wolves. Because I am conservative like you. I believe in, family, man and woman. When we come together, we sit down together and we define our roles. There are many things that the man can do that I can do. There are many things the woman can do that the man can do. But there's also certain things that the man will always be good at, much better than the woman, and vice versa. And I think we are lacking that in the 21st century.
Too many boys.
Exactly. And like you said, yes, people get offended very easily. We have a horrific cancel culture. I don't believe in silencing people. I just don't see how this is sustainable. This model of silencing anyone who you don't like their point of view. Having said that, Andrew kind of took a turn a little bit, which is actually what people say about me too, because I used to be just the ultimate kind of, I was seen as the ultimate feminine and always singing. Now people say, well, you took a turn. Yeah, I took a turn because I was not getting a lot of these stories before. Yes, I knew terrible things were happening in my country, but I wasn't getting personalized stories directly coming to me. And that has completely changed how I
become voice for the people. People are sending you their stories, so you can
I became a voice for the voiceless.
Yeah.
But Andrew, I feel like he got a lot of attention from men from the Muslim world and a lot of the conservative movements that are taking hold in different parts of the world, because there are serious movements that are
right. But I mean, honestly, like if you look at his audience, these messages are starting to resonate with a lot of women, because women nowadays, a lot of women, and I'm not going to speak for all women, there are still women who get offended if a man opens the door for them because they think that offends their gender. But a lot of women, actually, naturally, women like to be taken care of. They like to be protected. Most women prefer that. So a lot of the women who want that, but they're too scared to say that openly because they're going to be ridicule his voice for those kind of people. I watch his videos. If I'm on YouTube and I'm scrolling and his videos suggested, I know
I watch it too. Yeah, I think lately the way he labels women, his message became one of contradictory, because on the one hand, a man who is the ultimate masculine and who is protector and provider, a gladiator, a warrior, also have a gentle, kind, compassionate side when it comes to the people whom he was supposed to protect and provide for. Like, for example, I've never even read a book about feminism. I don't consider myself a feminist. Now people use this term very loosely. Even Muslim women who have learned about their religion and have realized, well, you know what? Islam actually has given me so much. And I want my rights. I don't want to be mistreated, disrespected, dishonored. I want to be protected, provided for. And I want to be listened to, because women used to go to the debate halls when the Prophet and his companions were delivering messages, and they would sit next to men and would ask tough questions. Now you can't even do that in the Muslim world anymore, and you cannot even say a word without being seen or labeled.
You can question this. Yeah, exactly, like challenge,
it's very difficult for me personally tolerate any man who disrespects women. I don't care who you're disrespecting,
right?
But the minute you start calling us the B word and the whole word, and he uses these terms, him and his brother both use these terms, seeing
but remember
you as the provider and the protector, all of a sudden I feel like you just strip all those qualities away from yourself.
Right. So let me answer a couple of the points. So you say that like he uses like the way he talks about women, like
even the C word he used several times.
So well, like I really believe the school of thought that words have the meaning that you give it to them. I actually I don't really have a problem with people using words that are not allowed by the masses, because it's just like words have the meaning, you give it to them. If you use it, I don't really see big deal about it. Now I'm gonna go back to how he talks about women. So like there are two things that I've seen that he said, but in a way it didn't really offend me. Like when he said, like he would not have women, or he will not ride airplane. The woman was a pilot. The pilot was a woman. He said that because he said if the plane was to go down, she's gonna get all emotional. I mean,
I'm not offended by that.
Like, men.
Although there are plenty of pilots that are women nowadays, I don't see a big deal.
No, yeah, you're right. But again, it's just like, if he has that preference, I think he has right to say that. We all have the preference. If someone can say that I am this, and they're allowed to say that, if we're gonna allow people to just because to me, I respect how someone want to be addressed. If you like, we're sitting here and you're like, don't call me Fathia, like Fathia, call me this, like call me Jenny. I'm gonna have to address this Jenny because that's what you want to be addressed as. I have to allow people to be addressed how they want to be addressed. Now, if he has a preference of like male pilot because of like his logic, that's fine.
Agree.
I'm okay with that. History shows that women are more emotional. That's why women weren't part of the war zone and all that stuff. So he could like still hold on to that. And also coming from our own culture and religion, those are things that are embedded in us at a young age too. So it doesn't really it doesn't sound like, oh, I'm normal. How could you say that? Because I've been hearing this kind of stuff all my life, and I'm hoping that it will slowly change. He will one day have, and I can see him doing that because he's the type of person that he's very logical. When someone is logical, like they evolve. If you allow, you evolve. Like he was saying one time in one of his podcasts, which I didn't really like, that in Islam, women are owned by men. So that's why immediately when I saw him convert to Islam, I'm like, this guy, like, it's just like, I had to see him the same way I see myself because I'm Muslim. But if I were to go into any other religion today, if I wanted to go from one restriction to another restriction, like I'll go into a religion that like I can get away with stuff and say like, well, this is part of my religion. And that's going to be his approach with converting to Islam.
I mean, there might be non-Muslims that come across this video, and that does not mean Islam allows that. In fact, Islam has given women the most rights. I mean, before Islam came, women were basically being buried. Girls were being buried alive. Women were not allowed to own properties. So Islam has given women a very high status, but it's Muslim men that are at the helm, though, of the religion, and they have not provided. In fact, they have tried everything in their power to limit those rights. And so you could ask a Muslim man, any Muslim man, well, tell me about the rights that Islam has given me. Not many of them can name any of those rights, but they can name all the rights that has been provided to them by Allah. So that's why when women now started learning about their religion, and all of a sudden started asking for their rights, like you said, as long as things are consensual and men and women come together and decide what works best for them, Islam went as far as even telling men rather, you provide the food, not only the food that raw food where you go outside and be the provider, the breadwinner,
Yeah.
cooked, ready to be eaten. Islam went as far as saying that if a woman gives birth to a child and she decides that, oh, I'm too tired to breastfeed this child, you might offer her some money and buy the breast milk from her. Islam gave us the right to work if we want, from outside if we want, from wherever. Whatever we earn is ours, and whatever he earns is ours. I mean, that's incredible. But we don't get many of these rights. Many of these rights are not provided for Muslim women.
What would you get? If it doesn't benefit the man, you're not going to even know about it.
You're not, and that's what happened. We didn't know for a long time, and that's why we have been labeled feminist, a Westerner. You are trying to be, and even worse. Sometimes I get labeled as an unbeliever, and I'm sure you have too. You have
absolutely all the time.
Labeling you that.
Like you were saying, if you go against what they want you to believe, then you are a disbeliever to a degree because you're not falling for their fabricated, or I want to say abolished. They abolished the rights they have. It's not even like they're not even serving you the raw rights that they have. It's like embellished, added on. It got onions, seasoning.
There are a lot of stuff that has been fabricated, and there has been lies told about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him.
Whole system, the culture, everything was created by man. Just know that.
And to make a long story short, I think he's going to fit in
perfectly
with his brethren,
he already
Muslims.
talked about it.
But I wish him well. I hope, because he has such a commanding voice and physique and intellect. I am hoping that rather than him staying the same or remaining the same, he would change, and that his heart would be softer, and he would actually change a lot of minds. The more he learns about Islam.
He only did nothing. Nothing is going to change. It's just going to amplify. He actually, I watched the interview that he did recently after he got banned from the Matrix or all social media. Thanks. He was dropped by everybody, including even Chase, just like they dropped Yi today or a couple of days yesterday. He was saying that he recognized that how he delivered some of the messages weren't wrong, but the beliefs that he upholds them. And he openly talked about marrying multiple women. And he knows that in Christianity, so he talked about marrying multiple women. He also talked about not marrying through the court because he doesn't want the government involved in his
business
marital affairs. Exactly. So to me, automatically, Islam was appealing to him for that reason. He wants multiple women where he can justify and say, well, as a Muslim man, I can marry up to 4 wives.
Yeah.
Because he said he wants to have 20 kids. 20 boys.
Yeah, and on top of that, he can always divorce the first one and then add another and add another and add another.
I know it's not something that you will do, but there are audience for that. There are women, because they lack that father figure or like example that you can get your own man. Experience that they will settle for another man. They will marry a married man. They will be with a man who's married to other women. So
I've actually heard that hundreds of Muslim women already offered themselves to him.
I'm sure that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
Andrew knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does. He does
do anything for no reason.
And I feel like there's he has known about Islam for a long time. I feel like there's a reason that he did it now, because
I'm telling you right now, the reason is to justify a lot of the stuff that he says now. that the
And
world
to also still have a huge market. And Dubai already has changed so many laws.
Oh yeah, Dubai
The
is
last
like, you
few
don't need to be
days,
Muslim.
you know, when it comes to a lot of things. So
I love Dubai.
this is going to be very, very interesting to watch. But nonetheless, I wish him all the best, and I wish you all the best. I'm going to leave it at that because I got to go pick up my daughter. I am so grateful to you. Thank you so much. This is just incredible. I love you, and we're going to come together some more. I can talk to you for hours and hours and hours.
Me too. I'm all fired up now.
I know. It's like, it's been so short. We'll come back together.
Yeah, inshallah.
Thank you so much,
sweetie. I really appreciate you, Fati, and I appreciate everything that you're doing for us Somali women, for all women across the world. Your bravery is encouraging a lot of us, and it's empowering. And just, you know, keep being authentic, keep being the woman that you are. And I can't wait to see more of your work.
Likewise, Abaya. Likewise. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Welcome, I'll talk to you soon. Night. Drive safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.